Yo guys, what is up? It is dhcvolt back for the first time in years with another one of my champion concepts. Today we are going to be looking at Ego the Living Planet. Now, obviously, he's going to be a cosmic, and for those who haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or read comics, he is Star-Lord's dad, at least in the MCU. And I mean, yeah, he's literally a living planet. He is a dude that roams amongst this planet, but the planet is actually his real body, and he can kind of go in and out of that form. So, my idea visually is that he will be in his kind of human form from the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 movie, but in his special 3, you will get to see him as the planet. Anyways, let's go. So, passives. Passive. Ego has an ecosystem to provide for. Therefore, Double Edge, Liquid Courage, and Recoil have no effect on Ego. Now, a lot of people probably won't like this, but I think that this makes sense. I don't know why a living planet would want to damage himself. Pre-fight, Ego will have a pre-fight option to focus more on flora, fauna, or geology for his ecosystem. If nothing is selected, this will default choose flora. As a defender, Ego will always choose geology. As a living planet, Ego has 3 constant resources. Think of like a Nova meter that go 1 through 100. Flora, fauna, and geology. These resources are not affected by ability accuracy and cannot be tampered with outside of listed exceptions. These resources can be gained and lost as listed, however, the resource will not drain over time. So, continued, this is what each of them are going to do. Flora. Ego's body hosts lush jungles, colorful flowers, and diverse fruit and vegetable crops. The higher the resource meter, Ego will gain 10 through 60% lowered personal debuff duration and 20 to 90% higher enemy debuff duration. If Flora is chosen as pre-fight, the plant life becomes overgrown, using blood to nourish themselves like water, and no limit to the growth that the heat from the sun provides, allowing Ego an immunity to bleed and incinerate. Ego gains Flora charges when striking the opponent's block and from each hit in the special one. Ego loses charges when enemy hits into his block. Fauna. Ego's body creates ecosystems that provide adaptable habitats for plenty of alien animal species. The higher the resource meter, Ego will gain 20 to 90% attack rating. If Fauna is chosen as the pre-fight, the animals that call Ego home's immune systems evolve, allowing an Ego an immunity to poison and shock. Fauna charges are earned upon critical hits and on each hit of Special 2. Fauna charges are lost when knocked down. And finally, Geology. Ego's body is home to raging rivers, craggy mountains, and massive landscapes. The higher the resource meter, Ego will gain 10 to 45% physical resistance and 5 to 60% regeneration rate. That is really just intended for willpower. That might be too good. I didn't really go too in-depth with how the math will work out, so obviously if this was going to be real, the numbers would probably be pretty majorly adjusted, but nonetheless. If Geology is chosen as a pre-fight, Ego will become immune to Root. Geology charges are gained slowly over time with no action required, and cannot be lost anyway besides special activation. So now we go into the bulk of his kit outside of these passives, and that is the specials. Special 1. Ego uses his native plant life to overwhelm the opponent, summoning vines, poisonous flowers, and enlarged Venus flytraps. Gain Flora charges. If above 70 Flora charges, instead inflict a strong poison, bleed, and incinerate debuff, all lasting 12 seconds. If above 70 Geology charges, this duration is doubled. If the opponent is immune to any of these debuffs, he will instantly max out his Flora charges and combine all damage into the debuffs that can be gained. So if, say, someone is immune to bleed and poison, the incinerate is essentially just going to triple in damage. These debuffs cannot stack, and the reactivation of Special 1 will not reset the timers. So Special 1 spamming is discouraged. Special 2. Ego unleashes the predators that call him home, then strikes with a planetary punch. Gain Fauna charges. If above 70 Fauna charges, this will instead give a passive cruelty and precision buff for 12 seconds. If above 80 Geology charges, this will stun the opponent for 2 seconds and give Ego a passive fury buff for 12 seconds. Special 3. Ego shows his true form, eclipsing the entire battlefield, then crashes into his opponent. This will max out Ego's Geology charges, root the opponent, and increase his combat power rate by 50% until next special activation. After this special activation, all of Ego's charges will be reset to 1. Now, a few things. First of all, the Special 1 and Special 2 things will benefit from the passives from Flora, Fauna, and Geology, obviously. So the debuffs that you're gaining from Special 1 and the stun that you can get from the Special 2 are affected by the debuff duration that comes from Fauna. Yeah, so going on to the ideal rotation / intention, the idea that I had going into this character was someone where you had to rush to the Special 3 and then choose a special after that based on the fight. Additionally, the Special 1 is very obviously tied to the Flora, whilst the Special 2 is tied to the Fauna, but you are supposed to have options. So maybe sometimes there would be a fight where you don't want to do the Fauna pre-fight, but it would still be better to spam the Special 1, or vice versa. Additionally, Geology gives that niche root immunity that I'm pretty sure not a single character has yet, but thus is intentionally left with less damage. There are probably not very many fights where you'd want to use this, but maybe if you are fighting like a Baron Zemo or like a certain node in some of the new Act content, this would be good. I kind of see this guy as a mix of Gallon and Scorpion, but maybe not as hyper specialized. Obviously, Gallon and Scorpion are actually very broadly good, but I don't know. I just don't see him like. Obviously, I think the numbers might be a little overtuned or undertuned, but I'm not trying to make a character that's like good in every mode. I want him to have certain places where he thrives and certain places where he probably isn't that good, like Gallon for some longer form content. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This was a lot of fun to make. I really liked the idea of kind of basing it all around the ecosystem that he has. And obviously, like you can do a lot with him. Like I did the charge gains from like blocking hits or hitting into block and getting critical hits, so that for shorter fights you might not need to rush to the Special 3. You can just try to get above those 70 charges and hit the Special 1 by hitting into the block. So you have a lot of options with this guy. He's going to be a very versatile character, and he is going to be completely suicide non-friendly. That's one thing that I always see with characters is this character suicide friendly? But I think it would actually be cool to have a character that is just completely like, you should not be running suicides. Obviously, there are characters like that, but this guy gets literally no benefit from it. He doesn't get the damaging debuff, but he also does not get the damage buff. So obviously that's going to be like a controversial choice, but I don't know. I thought it was creative. I thought it was unique, and that's always what I try to do with these characters. So if you have any characters that you would like me to make, please leave a comment below. Let me know, and let me know what you think of this. I do want to go back and look at my old character concepts and compare them to what we got. Like I did one for Red Skull, I did one for Mysterio, and obviously those are characters that we got in the game. Kraven too. So it would be cool to go back and kind of compare and contrast what I had back in the day versus what we actually got. And I am planning on doing this with Blob, the X-Men, who just recently lost the Summoner Choice vote. And I have a Cyclops rework video that I'm making, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for those. Other than that, have an amazing day or night, my friends.